Hello everybody. This is going to be a rambling video, but it's going to start off with the topic, hire a boomer. And to give you an idea of the age group of baby boomers, they are now at the age of 59 to 77 years of age. And the boomer generation was the generation after World War II, and they were given the name boomers because of the unprecedented spike in births after the war. And so we had Depression era grandparents, and I think we kind of we modeled after our grandparents more than our parents. I think a lot of boomers did not relate to their parents. Much as every generation does not model after their parents. But I have seen a good many baby boomer generation individuals going back to work. And I don't know if it's for multiple reasons. I don't know if, they just feel like they want to contribute, since there's a need for employees in the workplace, and maybe they have a child or grandchild or their children's children at home, and maybe they're in the basement with their young family, just living off the parents. I don't know. Maybe they have a grandson that's addicted to some sort of drug, or maybe he just doesn't get out and find employment and he's on video games all day long. But I've seen way too many boomers, and even in past the 70s, I've even seen 80-year-olds who are delivering food, like with Uber Eats. And I'm really astonished because I've seen people well into their 60s who have taken employment, but now people are late 70s working. And I've seen this at Macy's. I've seen people delivering food, clerks, even grocery store cashiers. And so a lot of people in my generation are entering the workplace. And this has taken place after COVID. And so COVID really shifted a lot of things for a lot of people. And, maybe the parents and grandparents are, taking on jobs to be able to afford to send their progeny to colleges and universities or to trade schools, because they realize that it's just so difficult to make it with just high school diploma or even a bachelor's degree. It just doesn't cut it anymore. And the really good parents out there, the parents who do care about the futures of their children, they're working and saving and taking on extra jobs, and to make sure that their lineage is gainfully employed and has a place to live, has a car to drive. But hire a boomer. Boomers are going to expect far less in the workplace. I know in my day, I put up with a lot of sexual harassment. One from a coworker, a couple from a boss, one from a potential boss. I don't even want to go into that. It was just sickening. There was just no protections in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, you could complain all you wanted, but your complaints would fall on deaf ears. Women were not validated. They still sometimes aren't, but especially back then, you weren't listened to. Still, many times they aren't either. When they report crimes, or when they're victims, they're not listened to. But hiring a boomer, you're going to get a worker who knows that they have to be at work on time, and they know that they're going to have to finish, probably a few minutes after the quitting time. And they're not going to be on their phone all day long either. They don't have that source of entitlement. I think some people now, younger people, when they get jobs, they just think it's a way for them to just, chill and, be on their phones. And, yeah, I mean, no employer, wants to pay for somebody to just entertain themselves on their cell phone. Yeah. When I worked, I wanted to make the best out of my working hours, and a lot of my employment was tip-based or commission-based because of the jobs that I took. And I felt like when I worked, I have to make as much money as I possibly can. I wanted to scrape up as much as I could on those given hours, because those were working hours, and I'd rather work harder and hustle than to just, take it easy and make less money. I remember I sold a lot of product working in salons, and anybody could sell products, okay, hair products, beauty products, and we made commission. A lot of the people around me, mostly I worked with women, but a couple of men. The bosses were always men, but I always wanted to sell product. I mean, at the end of a week, I remember one week, I had an extra $17, which was like a 10% percentage of the products that I sold. And I was so proud of that $17. I mean, we made much less back then, much less. So $17 was, that was a lot of money. That's extra money that would go to gas in the tank, or, buy dog food. And I always took care of, I always had two dogs in my youth, and I paid more every month for my apartment rent in order to keep a dog. It was ridiculous. I think I paid $10 per each dog per month. Made no sense. They were perfect dogs, and I took on the extra responsibility to be able to take care of them. They were they would have been homeless without me, but and they had a good life. They both lived a long time, and they got walks every day, and they got a lot of attention, and a lot of people my age back then, they wouldn't have taken on the responsibility of pets because of the expense. And I had to work harder, work longer, work more in order to have a pet. My parents didn't provide jack shit for me. Nothing. Nada. Zero. Not a car, not insurance, not food, not books, not tuition, not clothing, no health care, no shoes, no trips, no nothing. Zero. Which was kind of uncommon for, like a family with, and our class range, our middle class, upper middle class range, whatever. It was very, very remarkable for parents of my sort to just not do a thing for their children. And shame on them. Shame, shame, shame. They were pathetic parents. But going back to, hiring a boomer, boomers won't feel the entitlement that the younger generation is going to feel. They're most likely not going to come to the job stoned. I've had too many workers. The last person that was hired for a bathroom renovation, him and his partner came stoned. They did a very, very piss poor job, and I've just had it with, anybody partaking of drugs. They're not for me. If somebody else wants to hire them, they can. And, I'm not going to support medical marijuana. No, that didn't work either. If you can't work drug-free, alcohol-free, whatever-free, then you're not for me. And my standards are higher. I was at a restaurant the other day, and they had some young workers, and they went out to the car to smoke a joint. And on a lunch break. So that's who's making your food, that's who's serving you. That's what you get these days. But it's not who I'm going to hire. I really appreciate the boomers that I've hired in the past. But, that was like 15 years ago. Boomers are definitely getting older. And boomers were the last generation who just did not have the worker protections. Generation X did start to see the worker protections. They started to see, the breaks, the perks from employment, and but far more worker protections than boomers. So boomers are going to be the last generation who have a strong work ethic, and who really aren't going to expect as much. So I'd love to hire a boomer. Let me think. I think my lawn care guy, I think he's Gen X, and I really, really like him. He's very reliable, very honest, hardworking, and very, very dedicated. And he makes about $30 an hour, which is a real, that's fair. That's probably the going rate, and he does everything I need him to do. And I can trust him. Very reliable person, which is very, very hard to get anymore. And I've used him for maybe 7 years or something like that. So he can be counted on. Most people just don't want to hire, somebody who's just going to up and quit on them, or somebody who's just not trustworthy. But I was just talking to somebody today about my philosophy about antinatalism, and I live and breathe antinatalism. I take no prisoners. I don't care who's offended by this truth about me spreading the truth. I see it as a challenge to spread the word everywhere I go. These are my business cards. And I got these in Mumbai. I really like these cards. And they are made of plastic. It's like a really thin plastic. And if it gets rained on, it doesn't tear. And it's two-sided. And I pay for them, order them myself, pay for them, and I think I got a couple thousand. So I like to hand them out when I can, and promote the philosophy, because every day that I wake up, that's a new avenue to me to spread the message, because I'm a witness for the truth, and I'm a witness to spare lives from life. And whenever I get involved with activism, I don't quit, I don't stop. And when I was young, when I was about 14, I was dedicated to March of Dimes and their walkathons. That was my first activism. And then I was an animal activist and advocate. Well, I still am. That's been a long-term advocacy of mine. And then I was anti-smoking advocate, which I still am. I'm talking cigarette smoking, but yeah. Basically, I don't want to smell any smoke in public. If you want to smoke in your own house, that's fine. But when it crosses this boundary here in front of me, if I can smell it, or if I'm affected by someone's smoke, then that crosses my boundary. And yeah, I'm a militant anti-smoker. So I take no prisoners. And when it comes to antinatalism, I do not tolerate procreation. It is unacceptable. There is no reason to place a person into existence and just pawn their life off and sacrifice them to the world, sacrifice them to the wolves. I mean, there's just so much discontent and discord and disappointment and disgust. Yeah, like take today. It's just totally raining, and where I live, it's raining in a lot of part of America right now, and it's just a terrible feeling to wake up and face the rain, and it's just nasty and gross. And I've always hated the rain. I don't like it. And then when you wake up, you have a whole day that you have to fill. And you have to fill this day with, either satiating a biological need, hunger, thirst, probably entertainment to keep from boredom. And, you have to placate your biological drives. If that's not an obligation enough, you have a lot of hours, a lot of daytime and nighttime hours to fill with something. Boredom is just misery. And on a rainy day, there's much less things to do, because it's not like you can go to the dog park on a rainy day. My dog park is just it's just filthy. It's full of muddy spots and holes of holes in the dirt that are just filled with water, and dogs get so muddy there. But I hate waking up early, because that just gives you so much time you have to account for. And there's only so many things you can do. I mean, who wants to just watch movies or YouTube all day long? That gets old, that gets boring. And, I mean, there's always work to do, right? I mean, there's always clothes to clean. There's always floor to clean. I mean, it's endless chores and hygienic chores, you know, brushing, flossing, shampooing, combing, brushing, flossing. You know, there's just never ending things to do in this world. I mean, nobody dies and completes all of the tasks. Nobody dies and, like, you know, pays their last bill, or, you know, sweeps their floor and cleans their windows. Everybody leaves this earth with, you know, unfinished business. But there's just no reason to keep bringing people into this world and sacrificing their lives. Even if you think, you know, you were good to your children, you know, unless you provided them a trust fund to take care of them their entire lives, and whether you're assuming all of their pains and their bills, I mean, you're not a good parent. You can't be a parent and claim that you love your children because they're exposed to so much danger and heartache and misery and fears. So you don't bring someone into the world and then say that you're, you know, concerned about their welfare, or you're concerned about taking care of them, because you can't. You let the cat out of the bag. Or you've opened up a new can of worms. Whenever you bring somebody into the world, that's a new can of worms. Just another person to, you know, just endure tragedy and sickness. Oh, God. I hate being sick. Being sick, to me, is intolerable. I don't know if I talked about this, but the other day I was grating an onion, and it was a super, super sharp grater, and I have like 4 cuts on my knuckles, and I was trying my best to avoid scraping my knuckles. So I've got 4 like deep paper cut type scrapes across my knuckles, and they are so painful, and every time I bend my finger, I'm feeling that. And how many paper cuts and scrapes have I had during my life? Many, many, many. I would not want my own child to have a paper cut. I told my mom that probably when I was about 15 or 16. That's not acceptable to me. I would feel extremely guilty bringing a child into this world where I had to watch them work, or bleed, sweat, or cry. How come other parents don't see things through my eyes? How come my parents didn't have the common sense to understand that their children would suffer in their lives as a result of their sex act? I mean, there's nothing more concrete and easy to understand than conception and birth leading to misery and death. It's sensible. It's common sense. It's truth. But you and I didn't have parents who considered our welfare. We were not important. And for most of us, we will never be validated for our suffering that we gave no permission to endure. So, thanks for watching this long video. It turned out to be a rambling video, but anyway, hire a boomer.